إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل له فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما ثم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Dear respected brothers and sisters, I want to begin this khutbah by asking you all a question. And the answer has to be honest and it needs to be in your heart. The question is, from the point that we are born up to the point that we die, what period of your life do you fear the most? If we are honest with ourselves, we would say, every single one of us, that it would be old age. And the reason for this is because sometimes the way that old age is portrayed in the West and in life in general, what we've seen is that of aching bones and loneliness. But in reality, brothers and sisters, this is the most important part of our life. Although we do not know how long we're going to live, but we know that the end part of our life is the most important. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ, that the actions are judged upon their ends. He also said, alayhi salatu wasalam, al-akhir al-kalam la ilaha illallah dakhil al-jannah, that whoever's last words is la ilaha illallah, then this person will enter paradise. So if we look at these ahadith from the perspective of old age, then we would realize that the most important part of our life, if Allah gives us that part of our life, of old age, then we will come to the realization that this is the most important part of our life. Now the thing is that we have been sold a big lie. And this lie is that once you have reached the age of retirement, then you can relax. But this is completely incorrect. The reason why this is incorrect is because as we come closer and closer to death, every single moment that Allah Jalla wa Ala has given us in terms of breaths, our last breaths, then this is not a time for relaxation, but this is the time when we should be the most productive. This is why the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said in an authentic hadith, a dua, a beautiful dua, Allahumma ja'al awsa rizqaka alayya inda kibra sinni wa inqita' umri. Oh Allah, grant me your most expansive rizq, in my old age and at a time of death. But we have also been told that once we reach a certain age, then this is the end of our life. That you have to do things when you are young, when you are from the youth. But again, this is another misunderstanding of how we have been told to live our lives. There are a number of scholars, such as Fudayl ibn Iyad, such as Ibn al-Hazm rahimahullah, and other scholars who left seeking knowledge at a very latter part of their life. They may not have reached the age of them being quite old or elderly, but for sure they weren't in their teenage years or in their 20s. So this idea that we can stop seeking knowledge, we have to stop seeking knowledge because we have reached a certain age, this is something which is incorrect. There is this one businessman, this one Pakistani businessman, he came up with a very beautiful statement. And he is a person who was a businessman. And he was very busy. But he had the passion in order to memorize the Quran. And when he was memorizing the Quran, he had one particular methodology. And that is that whatever is happening to him in his life, he would only memorize one verse or two verses a day. And he was doing this, and then he reached the age where he made this beautiful statement. He said it in Urdu, and my Urdu is not very good, so I'll probably destroy the quote, but it's a very beautiful statement. He said, "Wo cheez maine bachpan mein nahi kara." Those things that I didn't do when I was young, when I was a youth, maine bachpan mein kara, that I did at the age of 55. So this idea that you can only memorize Quran when you are young, this is incorrect. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, you have to understand when the companions, although many of them had embraced Islam when they were young, and even if they were not young, some of them were quite old. In fact, even if they were not young, they were of like middle age or something like this. By the time the Quran had been revealed completely, they had reached old age. And so when we have the likes of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, who had become Muslim at the age of 38 because he's only 2 years younger than the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the Quran was complete, how old was he? He was 61. And so here is a man of the age of 61 who is now finishing off, completing the memorization of the Quran. So this idea that we can only do certain things, we can only achieve certain things when we are young, Islamically is incorrect. For even if someone is at the age of 78, imagine if there is a person at the age of 78, they decide that they've only memorized 2 surahs, Surah Fatiha and Surah Nas, but they feel bad. They think, you know what, I wasted all my life, I'm at the age of 78, I don't know when I'm going to meet Allah, I might as well use my time in the best possible way, and that's memorizing the Quran. So you know what, I'm going to start memorizing the Quran. He starts memorizing Surah Falaq and Surah Ikhlas, and then the following day he passes away. How do you think that this man will be raised? He only memorized 3 or 4 surahs of the Quran. He only came to the realization that, you know what, I'm reaching old age, and I should memorize the whole of the Quran. How do you think that he will be raised? Because he had this intention, despite the effort that he didn't do earlier in his years, but now he has decided, he has made azam, or he's made an absolute resolve in order to memorize the Quran. Even though he memorized 3 or 4 surahs, he will be raised as one who is a hafiz of Quran. Because brothers and sisters, even though our body is telling us something very different, maybe we won't be able to do, if we reach old age, or if we are of an old age, maybe we won't be able to do many of the things that we were able to do when we were young. Because our body is telling us that we can't do it. My bones are aching. It takes me such a long time just, cutting my nails and, tying my laces and walking to the masjid and all of these things. But what never grows old, brothers and sisters, is the heart. For the heart, as long as it's beating, can reach where none of the limbs can reach. As the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He told us about a verse in Surah Nisa, where Allah Jalla wa Ala, He told us, لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين والمجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم. That not equal are those who, amongst the believers, who stayed at home, who remained at home, and those who fought in the cause of Allah, the mujahideen. These people are not equal. One of the companions, Ibn Abi Maktoum radiallahu anh, he complained to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would have fought alongside you, I would have gone, but I'm visually impaired, I cannot see, but I have an excuse. Jibreel alayhi salam, he came back to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he re-revealed this verse. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in verse 95 of Nisa, لا يستوي القاعدون من المؤمنين غير أولي الضرر والمجاهدون في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم. That those people they are not the same. Those who remained at home, and also those who were the mujahideen, and those who had an excuse. Those who were disabled, or those who were elderly, or so on and so forth, were not able to go on jihad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in this verse that when a person has an excuse that they cannot do with their actions, that they can do with their heart, then they will get that reward. If a person says that, you know what, it's too difficult for me to wake up. I'm an 80-year-old man, 80-year-old woman, and I find it so difficult for me to make wudu. I need help to go to make wudu. I live by myself, but I want to make qiyamul layl. Just by that intention, just by that action that the person does with their heart, Allah Jalla wa Ala will write for that person as though they had prayed the night. For indeed the niyyah of the heart sets one free from the handcuffs of the body. Subhanakallah wa hamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. So brothers and sisters, I have spent the last few minutes talking about someone who is old. Maybe you were old, or maybe you will become old if Allah gives you life. And how we should view ourselves. We should never see ourselves as people who are as old as the way that maybe perhaps many of the people in this country see them. People who are neglected, people who are lonely, people who are sad, something that we should never ever look forward to. This is the picture that we have been painted. But as people who are not old, for some of us who are not old, how is it that we should treat people who are older than us, or those who are elderly? The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said an incredible hadith. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu, he said, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن من إجلال الله, from part of glorifying Allah, imagine this, part of glorifying Allah is ikram al-shayba, is to show honor to one who has grey hair, or someone who has reached the age of those who consider to be the elderly. Subhanallah, the way that we treat our elderly at times, brothers and sisters, is quite shameful. We neglect them, they're invisible, we don't show them the honor that they deserve as people who have lived and seen things that we have not been able to see. But in order for us to, part of honoring them and part of respecting them is not just simply making way for them, opening the door for them, but rather it is to learn from them. Because something that we tend not to do is that we tend not to learn from them. You know, they say wisdom. Confucius had a very interesting statement, beautiful statement on wisdom. He said wisdom can be learned in three ways. The first way is for a person to reflect, and this is the noblest way or method of reaching wisdom. The second is by imitation, and this is the easiest. But the third way is the bitterest, the most difficult, and that is through experience. There's certain qualities that we find in our elderly that we do not find in ourselves, especially those who are from the first generation Muslims who came to this country. Some of the qualities that they have, wallahi, we should be jealous of, and things that we should learn and take from them. One of them is that of sacrifice. Speak to your parents, speak to your grandparents, and how they came to this country. And understand that the heroes that we have today should be them. They came with nothing but just a few pounds in their pocket. Sometimes not even that. And they were the ones, all they had was just the clothes on their back in some scenarios. And what they did for us is that they left an incredible foundation. What did they do? They established the masjids in this country at a time when racism was rife. Speak to them some of the things that they had to go through in terms of we talk about Islamophobia, but the level of racism that they faced was incomparable to the Islamophobia that we're going through today. Because there's an element of tolerance. Majority of people are okay. Imagine at that time, I don't know if this is completely true, but imagine living in a place where the majority of people are racist against you. They look at you, they scorn you. They may even throw things in your letterbox. So what they sacrificed and the thick skin that they grew is something to admire and something for us to take and learn from. Second of all, the element of tawakkul. Wallahi, speak to someone from the first generation and understand what tawakkul is through them. We tend to learn through tawakkul through books, but the best way to learn manners, the best way to take good qualities, good character, is not from the books, but to learn it through the relationship that we have with our teachers, but especially with people from our parents and from our grandparents. We live in a society where, we do not have, our tawakkul is very weak. Our tawakkul is very weak because the system is working so well that in some respects we're doing something which you can term as operational shirk in some respects. But they had tawakkul, they had real reliance upon Allah Jalla wa Ala. But also a quality that we have lost from our elderly is that of hospitality. Really, that of hospitality. One time when I was studying in Egypt, we gave some food to a Hungarian person, non-Muslim, who was studying Arabic in the same building, in the same institute, and he was shocked that we were giving him food. He said, "This never happens to us in Hungary. This never happens to us. We never give food to another person." So he really admired the Muslims for this. But when we talk about hospitality, compare it to the hospitality that our elders would have. When I was growing up with my parents, my grandparents, the number of people that would come to our houses where we would have invitations for them. In actual fact, the word da'wat is from the word da'wah, to call someone, to give da'wah to someone, to call someone. And the number of times that we went to people's houses, we would always be invited over and over again. And really, it was not just the men, but the women who sacrificed, because in many cases, it was the women who would cook, and they would clean and whatnot. But they didn't complain about these things. Brothers and sisters, really, when was the last time that you invited someone to your house? We have lost the hospitality of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Really, one of the beautiful characteristics of Ibrahim alayhi salam was that of hospitality. What he would do for his guests. But this is something that we have lost. Living in the society, assimilating into society, we are losing these characteristics that our elders would still have. Also, another thing that we must understand, brothers and sisters, is that of giving precedence to our elders. The Messenger of Allah, he said, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُوَقِّرْ كَبِيرَنَا. He is not one of us, the one who does not show respect to our elders. The Messenger of Allah, he said, no youth treats an elderly person with honor in their old age, except that Allah sends someone to treat them with honor in their old age. This is reciprocity. What you reap is what you sow. You see a disobedience from your children, that was because you were disobedient to your parents. If you want your children to be obedient to you, if you want your children to love you and listen to you, then love and listen to your parents. Because where did your children get these habits from? They got them from you. If you want goodness in your old age, and you want people to treat you with respect and honor, then we have to start doing this whilst we're young. So brothers and sisters, one of the excellent initiatives that this masjid has taken is that there is a monthly social gathering for the elderly. For anyone who is age 60 and above, it's not restricted to that, then there will be a monthly gathering. The big elders lunch party that will be taking place this Saturday from 1 to 4. You can get more details from the masjid, but I felt that is a very good, beautiful initiative. Sometimes we get so engrossed in our life that we forget our parents. They ring us more than we ring them. They help us more than we help them. The only time we ring them is because we need something. But this has to change, brothers and sisters. The way that Islam honored the elderly. If I were to ask you that question that I asked right at the beginning of the khutbah, what is it? Which part of your life do you fear the most? If we truly honored our elderly the way that Islam, the way that Allah Jalla wa Ala wanted us to, the way that the Prophet ﷺ would honor the elderly in his time, then this part of our life is something that we would never fear. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who always honor our elderly. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all a long life in obedience to Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve the suffering and the pain of all of those around the world. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.